Hello. This is an experiment. And if it's like most of my experiments, it'll probably wind up online. But here's the deal. I I see things by the comments that people leave me on my videos, and I feel things. And we all have our own internal perceptions going. But something's coming to me that I think it might help to share. And it's about personal versus impersonal. It's about taking things so seriously on the one hand, but more than that, it's about thinking you're a person. You're not really a person. And when we think we're a person, we think we're separate from life, from everything else. We think we're a so-called individual. And that's only a seeming. That's only something that appears. It's a very temporary thing. It's not who and what we are at all. And it gets in the way of our higher perceptions in a lot of ways because, let's face it, it's illusory. And anytime we're accepting any kind of an illusion as real, we just have to expect that it'll get in the way of truth, of being able to perceive truth. And so it's like I just did a journal on depression. And I think that's visited probably most of us, if not all of us, at one time or another. Even little children are subject to this in today's crazy world, the way it's manifesting right now. And so we have a tendency, it tends to be a downward flowing spiral, like water going down the drain, and accelerate because what happens is we get depressed and down and feeling blue, and then we don't want to do anything. And so then we start the self-criticism or the spouse or whatever, and then that makes us feel worse, and it just, it feeds on itself. There are a lot of things in the culture and society that encourage us in these directions, but this isn't about that. This is just about what it feels like to be there. And so I offered some things specifically on depression, but this isn't that. Let's look at this again. And what if you weren't the only one feeling that depression? What if that was an energy that a whole lot of people were going through at the same time? What if that was the result of a wave of energy, a wave of light, actually, that is oncoming, and what it's doing is it's going into everybody's stored up karma and it's flushing stuff up to the surface. And so it can have that feeling of the depression. Now, that's maybe not a very good example. Psychology is not my main strength. Lady X, she's the one who's really good with psychology. I majored in it for a while, but I gave it up when I was in the sociology class and the psych classes I was required to take at university. And I found that my professors were teaching the latest theory, which is all any of these things are, as if it was fact, absolute fact. And they really believed it. I got out of there. I didn't want to wind up like that. I think that's really sad. And even as a freshman, I could see that. And so anyway, it's not my main strength, psychology. So a lot of what's going on now, until we had the internet, it was easier for, let's just call it the system, to isolate us and to make us think that we're separate. And as we're thinking that way and feeling that way, and we tend to keep our sadness and our darkness and grumpiness maybe quiet, so we don't tend to speak up. Well, if we don't speak up, then we don't find out that, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of other people going through the exact same thing. And looky there, they're doing it at the same time. And things that make you go, And so what I want to speak up for is that we raise our heads up above, stop with the nose to the grindstone thing and do a little cloud watching or something, lift our eyes and maybe take a more impersonal view of things. Maybe instead of getting into the negative spiral, which it has a momentum, just like a positive spiral of light rising up, it has a momentum as well. And so, and energy is magnetic. So that, for instance, when you have a thought, everything is frequency and vibration, and that's magnetic, and it will attract like attracts like, and it will attract other thoughts like itself, other energies like itself, and it will make you attractive to and attracted to other people that resonate there at that frequency, at that level. And so things build, and they build up or they build down. There's no such thing as standing still. We're rising or we're falling, and in different ways in our aura and in different aspects of our life, we're rising and falling at the same time. But anyway, so this is just to say, let's not condemn ourselves for anything. Let's not look down on ourselves for anything. And it's high time to realize that when negative things come up, one of the things that can bring negative things up is light. And so what that means is that that's a blessing, that's an opportunity anyway to clear some energy up, to have a look into it, to see it, to pierce it with your vision, to see through it, to look perhaps at what's underneath it. A lot of times, for instance, with anger, underneath anger, you're going to find fear. There's things propping this up, and we all have an inner teacher within heart. And I don't care how you conceptualize it, you will be taught. You can think of it as light beings. You can think of it as higher self. You can think of it as source, spirit, God, whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's positive, it's uplifting, it's a force of light. And so as we spend time in the heart then, and as we spend time observing, instead of getting the running commentary of the mind, which is almost universally negative, distracting, or not useful, we begin to hear the still small voice. It's not exactly a running commentary, but we begin to hear it. The more time we spend in the silence, not pursuing things, not always having to be doing, and surfing the web and finding something to occupy or amuse the mind. To heck with the mind. That's not where it's at. That's not the main instrument you're going to use to lift off into higher consciousness. That would be heart. Hello, we all know this. So I want to say, let's be more impersonal, and let's look around, and let's recognize that there are waves of light and energy oncoming and approaching. Right now there's a solar storm ongoing. And so I spoke about the major magnetic filament across the face of the sun. And all of these things are having effects. We had the moon, the full moon was conjunct Jupiter again, I believe. And so we have all kinds of energies and energetic happenings acting on us. We are energy beings, my friends. Let's make friends with that. Quit thinking of yourself as the body, as the mind, as the physicality. You're not that. You're so much more. It's bizarre. It's absolutely ridiculous. Once again, I'm going to recommend the David Icke Melbourne '09 lecture. I like on the YouTube, my favorite website to find anything by David Icke is the guy's YouTube site is called The Moon Matrix. And he seems to have most everything David has done. And he has that Melbourne lecture in a playlist. It'll just play right through for you. And it's a real delight. The nice thing about David, it's a pick-me-up. I go listen to him anymore, not his early stuff, but maybe everything for the last 3 or 4 years, ever since he did that one, the only truth is cosmic love and everything else is illusion. And I just butchered that, but his more recent stuff is very uplifting. It won't bring you down. And as we look around, as we listen, as we hear things, there's plenty of stuff that wants to kick us in the teeth, that wants to keep us cowering in fear. And, there's plenty of negative spirals out there just looking for someone to vibe with them, someone that they can infect. You can get infected by these energies the same way you can get infected by a germ or a virus or something like that. We're energy beings. All right, now, something else I wanted to talk about is being a sovereign being. This isn't something we just decide one day, okay, I'm a sovereign being, isn't that great? It's something we have to step into because we've been taught and trained to cower down and to conform and agree and be polite and cooperate and the rest of us. And a sovereign being doesn't go for all of that, except where it's appropriate. And there's a lot of places where it's appropriate, but in today's world, not so much. All right. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Everybody has heard, especially in Western culture, how important it is to drink water, right? And we've all been told you should have 8 glasses of water a day. And that's an 8-ounce glass, so we're looking at 64 ounces of water. And I guess they don't tell us the total, because if they told you you need to drink a half a gallon of water a day, you'd say, ah, and run the other way. All right. Now, I want you to look at the energy you're feeling right now. Look at it. See if you have any tension in your solar plexus. I know you do because I feel it, okay? And I knew this would happen. Let's examine that. That could be what's called the effects of a guilty conscience. You might have excuses going about why you don't manage to drink that much water, and so on. And so that's not very comfortable, is it? It's been made into an unpleasant subject. And I think that's mighty interesting. So let's be good observers